Boy, that sure is a lot of Transformers I own. And that's not even all of them. That's just some of the money I've wasted over the years. I mean, you got like Masterpiece, Third Party, 3-0, Cyberverse, Beast Wars. I don't even know what this shelf is. It's all of them, yeah. But which of them is the best one? Are any of these the best ones? I don't know. Maybe any of these guys? Those? Them? These? Are any of you the bestest? You're not the best. About a month ago, I asked for you guys to tell me who your 5 favorite Transformers characters were. And not only did we get 200 separate characters, we had over 500 separate votes in that. So now, we're going to go through each and every single one of them. If a character got a vote, we're going to talk about them. If they got a lot of votes, we're going to talk about that. And if it's a character who feels like they should have gotten a little bit more, we're going to talk about that too. But the big thing is I need to become the next top Transformer guy. Thew has Skywarp, Vangelis has Omega Supreme, and you guys are gonna pick who my guy is, because I need the views. Please, I need the views. For anyone who missed my call to action, I asked every single person who watched a video about a month ago to give me their 5 favorite Transformers characters. And in doing so, we're going to get a massive list to try to figure out who the most popular Transformers characters in the fandom, or at least our corner of it, actually is. And before anyone says it, yes, I stole this idea from Schaefer Productions. But they stole it from someone else, so is it really stealing if you're stealing from a thief? Keep in mind, this is not an overlay of the entire fandom. And this is also not a way to say that some characters are inherently better than others. All this means is that within my specific corner of the Transformers fandom, these are the characters who were brought up as being a favorite of these individuals. If your favorite got 1 vote or 100 votes, it doesn't matter, they're still your favorite. And it gave us this, 199 unique characters. And what better place to start than with the 1 voters? These first few rounds are going to be lightning rounds. If they just got 1 vote, there's not a lot of reason to stick on them for too long, but I want you to realize nearly 100 characters only got 1 vote. So deep breaths, we're going through all of them. Stampy, Moon, Dispensor, Wheelie, Tailgate, Sorry, Hellbat, Leozak, Trigger Happy, Misfire, Jack, Combo Bat, Beachcomber, Skylynx, Kickback, Swoop, Longrack, Hightower, Air Raid, Wing Saber, Octus, Obsidian, Brimstone, Dreadwing, Pipes, Reverse Convoy, Thrash, Javelin, Sunstorm, Scold, Nyx, Inferno, Battle Unicorn, Tobot Y, Tobot X, Vortex, the Viacons, the Ray Plush, I don't even know what that means, Kendrick Lamar, Mickey Mouse, John Wick, Marissa Fairborn, Raiden from Metal Gear, Override, Code Red, Gigawatt, Rhinox, Breakdown, Octane, Sea Spray, Fireflight, Dirge, Skullgrin, Crosshairs, Treadshot, Redwing, Excellion, the Fortnite Battle Bus, Landcross, Gun Runner, Thunderwing, Wipeout, Windcharger, Slipstream, Shadow Striker, Sam Witwicky, Perceptor, Fred, Acid Storm, Randy, Dropkick, Straxus, Snapdragon, Rollbar, Star Drive, Sound Blaster, Crosscut, Smokescreen, Kaon, Bumper, Six Shot, Scorponok, Hotshot, Road Rage, Slash, Tripticon, Metroplex, Stinger, Getaway, Brainstorm, Skybite, Thunderclash, Gears, Pterosaur, Helix, Jawbreaker, Ramhorn, Eject, Ratbat, Frenzy, Rumble, Laserbeak, Buzzsaw, Mindwipe, Wreckage, Psykill, and Black Arachnia. Yeah, a lot of characters, only got 1 vote. That said, a few of them are actually kind of surprising. For instance, Black Arachnia. She's arguably the most popular character to come out of Beast Wars, and yet she just barely made it onto the list. Also, breaks my heart, but Psykill was the only GoBot to make it on the list, and he's only on here because I voted for Psykill. Alright, now we're moving on to the 2 voters. The characters that 2 people care about, I suppose. Leo Convoy, Lugnut, Minerva, Cyclonus, Deathsaurus, Jinrai, Devastator, Red Alert, Rampage, Vector Prime, Pyro, Bruticus, Menasor, Nemesis Prime, Sideways, Barricade, Toxitron, Wreck-Gar, Needlenose, Sandstorm, Demolishor, Ramjet, Thrust, Dead End, G-Axis, Motormaster, Stockade, Skids, Superion, Chrome Dome, Rewind, and that's it.
there are more surprises here for me. Rewind and Chrome Dome are some of the most popular pairings in all of Transformers, and yet both of them only got 2 votes.
Alright guys, we're finally getting into the 3 votes.
Punch Counterpunch, Drift, Rat Trap, Bulkhead, Spinister, Tarantulas, Ravage, Prowl, Cheetor, Bludgeon, Overlord, Blur, Nautica, Heatwave, Lockdown, Springer, and Unicron. To be honest, in the 3 votes, there's more surprise for the characters who did so well. I mean, Punch and Counterpunch got more votes than Cyclonus. Spinister got more votes than Cyclonus. Bludgeon and Overlord and Nautica and Heatwave all got more votes than Cyclonus. We're now going into the 4 votes, characters who were able to get a little bit of traction, starting with Astra Train, Galvatron, Waspinator, Optimus Primal, Depth Charge, Power Glide, Tigatron, and Air Razor. It's kind of interesting to me that so many characters who got 4 votes are all Beast Wars characters. I mean, take Power Glide, Astra Train, and Galvatron out of the mix, these are all Beast Wars guys. I am kind of surprised that Primal got so few votes, just because it feels like he's one of the big faces of Beast Wars. Then again, he got more votes than Cheetor. Galvatron, I feel like it makes a lot of sense that he's so low. I mean, Cyclonus only got 2 votes, and Scourge didn't show up at all in the voting. Going on now to the characters that were able to get 5 whole votes. So we got Whirl, Beast Wars Megatron, Blitzwing, Ratchet, Hound, and Blaster. In terms of surprise, though, I think there was only one underperformer here, and it's Ratchet, only getting 5 votes. And this is a spoiler for the later sections. That means that Ratchet was the only of the 2007 movie Autobots to not make it into the top 10. So, going into the characters that got 6 votes, you have Swindle, Skywarp, Warpath, and Windblade. Swindle makes a lot of sense to me. He did better than any other Combaticon, and I'm pretty sure he did better than any part of a Combiner, but seeing as how he had both a lot of love from Animated and has always been one of the more charismatic Combiner bots, it makes a lot of sense that he would do so much better than the rest. Likewise, Skywarp is one of the top vote getters in terms of Seekers. Considering that he's part of the Command Shrine, that makes a ton of sense too. The ones that surprise me are Warpath and Windblade. Again, not to beat a point, but Drift, Hound, Springer, all of these other Autobots that you would think carry so much more name value, and Warpath is the one that got 6 votes. But then this goes to a separate thing. I've noticed when it comes to many Toys of requests that people who like Warpath really like Warpath. As for Windblade, I'm just kind of glad to know that Windblade's still doing pretty well. I feel like people have moved away from Windblade ever since IDW stopped making the comics, and that made me sad because I still adore her character. But I'm happy to see that no, Windblade is still hanging with the best of them. We're now to a trio of characters that managed to get 7 whole votes: Scourge, Starsaber, and Knockout. Knockout makes complete sense. I mean, of course he would do pretty well in a poll like this. He's a very popular character. Starsaber, likewise, a lot of people adore the Japanese side of Transformers, and Starsaber is basically the poster child for that. As for Scourge, everyone who voted for Scourge specifically voted for RID 2001 Scourge. Everyone made sure to make that distinction to me. And I think that speaks to the fact that when it comes to evil Optimus Primes, most of the fandom seems to agree that Scourge was the best one. We had some real narcissists when it came to people who got 8 votes because it's Sunstreaker and Sentinel Prime. Going into characters who were able to get 9 whole votes, it's Dinobot. He's the only character to get exactly 9 votes, and he is the highest voted Beast Wars character. I think that makes complete sense. Dinobot tends to be the famous example of characterization from Beast Wars. I think it's weird that Dinobot got so few votes, but at the same time, think about all the characters we've talked about who Dinobot did better than. I'm happy to see him up here, but I would have liked to see him maybe break the top 10. Speaking of 10, the people who got 10 votes actually include some of my all-time favorites: Mirage, Elita 1, and Cliffjumper. Now, Mirage getting 10 votes makes a lot of sense to me. Out of all the 84 bots, there's a very weird sense of a dark horse fandom around Mirage. Elita 1, I think, is getting carried by TF1 and Skybound, and Cliffjumper, Very similar. Skybound, and also people just love Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper and Alita 1 are possibly my two favorite Autobots, so I do hate to see them all the way down here, but at the same time, they did better than a lot of characters. Going into characters who got 11 votes, it's Sideswipe and RC. I'm really surprised to see these two so far down. It feels like whenever there is a list of Autobots to come out, these two are always amongst the first draft picks. But who knows? I kinda hate seeing RC down with my fellow favorites Cliffjumper and Alita 1, but I also respect the fact that this is how democracy works. Going into characters now who got 12 votes, it's Ultra Magnus and Wheeljack. Two G1 boys, both incredibly popular in their own rights. Funnily enough, both of the characters who got 13 votes are Decepticons, Tarn and Thundercracker. I think that it's really sad that Thundercracker didn't get into the top 10. He is my favorite Transformer character, but you know, it's still cool that he made it so far up. Had he just gotten 2 more votes, he would have been in that top 10. As for Tarn, look at you, my boy! Only shown up in Cyberverse and IDW, and yet you're already doing better than Magnus, RC, Sideswipe, rubbing shoulders with Thundercracker. I'm very proud of Tarn today. From here on out, every character got a unique amount of votes, which is awesome because that means that we have a clean top 10. However, at number 11 with 14 votes, it's Jetfire. And to be fair, Jetfire only barely got out from Thundercracker and Tarn's 13 votes. It was a last-second vote that made him get bumped up to 14, but it makes a lot of sense that he be so high up. I think that he's similar to Ultra Magnus in that everybody just kinda likes Jetfire, even if he's not anyone's main favorite or not a lot of people's main favorites, he's always in the mix. Plus, he's just always treated with such importance and such reverence that it's hard not to like this guy. We are now in the top 10, the 10 characters that the fandom, or at least our corner of it, agreed were the best. And with 16 votes, it's Jazz. Jazz, much like Magnus, much like Jetfire, much like Thundercracker, just one of those guys who's always in the mix when you're talking about who is the great Transformers characters. A thing I'm so impressed by is the fact that Jazz has fallen out of relevance in a good number of years. I mean, he was in the 2007 movie, and he's never really been an A-lister again since then. Shown up in Animated, he's shown up in Fall of Cybertron, he's shown up in R.I.D. and Skybound, but he was never given the same emphasis that he had back in G1. But I think the general presence of Jazz and the good appearances he's had really led to a lot of goodwill within our fandom. Speaking of Bumblebee, at number 9 with 17 votes, our yellow boy came in. A lot of love for the movie, Animated, Prime, R.I.D. 2015, Cyberverse, Earthspark, and TF1 versions of Bumblebee. I think it's easy to figure out why Bumblebee did so well. He's the Kid Appeal character. For a lot of people, he still has the presence of being the childhood favorite. And past that, he's had a lot of good toys over the years, and some versions of Bumblebee, like Cyberverse and Animated Bumblebee, are still favorites of mine all these years later. I think that the only thing that holds Bumblebee back is the fact that some people are burnt out on him, especially after a near 2 decades where Hasbro wanted to convince us that he was the new main character of the franchise. Now that they're kind of backing off that, I see a lot of people ready to embrace Bumblebee all over again. With 18 votes at number 8, it's Ironhide. Now, already, you're able to see why I was so surprised that Ratchet didn't do so well. Jazz, Bumblebee, and Ironhide, alongside Optimus Prime, are the other 4 main Autobots from the 2007 movie. It amazes me that Ratchet was not even close to breaking into this group. But Ironhide, a more than well-deserved spot. Much like Jazz, he's not had much prevalence in the fiction since the movies, but the movies, G1, and his brief appearances in War for Cybertron and IDW have clearly left a great effect on people. He's someone I've always loved to see come back, and I know that he is the favorite character of many, and how could you not love a big rough-talking Texan who quotes Dirty Harry? It's weird to me that someone in the top 10 I would still say underperformed, but with 19 votes, it's Grimlock. I would have thought Grimlock would have been way up, closer to number 1 or 2, And yet, here he is, not even in the top 5. He still did better than almost anyone else in the poll, don't get me wrong. He did better than 98% of the characters here. But between the general love he has in the fandom, all the toys he gets, and all the media appearances, I find it kind of strange that he's kind of just lingering here. Spoiler alert here, but at number 6, it's our second most popular Autobot, and it's Rodimus, with 20 votes, with callouts for G1, Energon, and IDW. I am so happy to see this. For so long, people slandered Rodimus. They always said, oh, that's the character that killed Optimus. But finally, we've grown up as a fandom, we've stopped being kids about this, and we've learned to love this character for everything he is. My favorite version of Rodimus is still the IDW version of him, but I like G1 Rodimus well enough, and Energon Rodimus has an incredible design. Him getting 20 votes and putting even characters like Grimlock, Ironhide, and Bumblebee to shame really did my heart good. At number 5, it's another big surprise in terms of underperformance. It's Starscream, with 32 votes and callouts for G1, Beast Wars, Armada, Cybertron, Animated, IDW, Prime, Earthspark, and Skybound. All great Starscreams. I will admit, someone said Beast Wars Starscream, and I don't know if they meant the episode of Beast Wars where Starscream's ghost showed up, or if they meant Starscream from Beast Wars 2. In either case, I just rolled it all in as Starscream, but I'm very happy to see the Seeker all the way up here. I'm amazed though that he got 32 and didn't just win this whole thing. When I was growing up, it seemed like the popular answer for who's the best Transformers character was Starscream. A lot of people held him up as this gold standard for characters within the franchise. I don't know if we've all soured on Starscream, or if maybe other characters have since proven that there's other great characters within our fandom. I'm going to assume it's much more that. But Starscream seemingly has kind of fallen a bit, but not by much. Keep in mind, he's still number 5 out of 200 characters. Number 4 honestly makes a little bit more sense to me, because it's Megatron with 35 votes. And even though there were shoutouts for Armada, Cybertron, the movie, Animated, IDW, War for Cybertron, and Prime, most people voted for Megatron based on TF1 and D16, which I think makes complete sense. Watching TF1 several times at this point, Megatron was the best character in the movie. He was the star of that movie. It's really gone a long way to making a whole new generation of people fall in love with the main villain of the franchise. I personally am always going to be happy to see him based on Armada and IDW, but TF1, more than happy to see that Megatron also do well. With 35 votes, he did better than Starscream, which is amazing to me. I remember a time in our fandom where Megatron would never outperform Starscream in a poll like this. But still, he should take pride. He made it onto the Mount Rushmore, as Megatron should have. I'll be honest, this one made me really happy. Number 3, with 43 votes, it's Shockwave, with shoutouts for G1, Energon, Animated, IDW, Prime, Follow Cybertron, Cyberverse, and Skybound. Yeah, makes complete sense to me. Shockwave is one of the great characters of Transformers. I can't think of a bad version of the guy. His toys are almost always incredible. He's a character that as a kid I never liked, but as I've grown older, I've gotten to a point where I think Shockwave is the character that makes me want to pick up a book or watch a movie or see a cartoon more so than any others. A good Shockwave is a great way to make me interested in whatever's going on. And past that, I think that it really goes to show just how much the comics have helped to reshape Shockwave. Again, there was a time in the early 2000s where I think a lot of the fandom were kind of happy to move past Shockwave, but then IDW made a lot of people go back and check out Marvel G1, Animated and Prime are able to hold their own, Cyberverse Shockwave was a great new take on the guy, and Skybound Shockwave just continues the tradition where comics is the medium that Shockwave is the king of. At number 2, with an even 60 votes, it's Soundwave, with specific callouts for G1, Prime, War for Cybertron, Cyberverse, and Skybound. My childhood favorite Decepticon, and still one of my favorite characters all these years later. I'm completely understanding why Soundwave made it so high on the list. I'd be more surprised if he wasn't somewhere in the top 4. But the highest ranked Decepticon, the second highest ranked Transformer overall, that's pretty impressive to me. I think it goes to show just how much we all love this guy. I think it's important to point out that most people who voted for Soundwave were voting for him based on how he treats his cassettes. I think that's always been the most interesting thing about Soundwave, is the fact that no matter how loyal he is to the Decepticons, no matter how despicable he is as a character, he's always a pretty good boss to his underlings. It's that little character detail that makes him feel so deep and so interesting and so engaging, and it's how so many modern versions of Soundwave wind up being one of the more interesting characters in whatever fiction they are in. At number 1, with 67 votes, with shoutouts for G1, Armada, Cybertron, Movie, Animated, Prime, Earthspark, and Skybound, it's Optimus Prime. Now, I'm not all that surprised, but it does make me recognize something within our fandom. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but have you ever seen the joke where people would never play as Mario in Mario Kart? The idea of your favorite character being the main character is almost ridiculous. Usually the main character is made to be a boring blank slate. Most people would never say Anakin Skywalker or Luke Skywalker is their favorite Star Wars character. Most people would never say that He-Man is their favorite He-Man character. Most people would never say that Leonardo is their favorite Ninja Turtle. The main character is supposed to be a reactionary force, something to jump other, more varied characters off of. That's not how Optimus Prime has ever been. I think the greatest strength of Optimus Prime is he's a distinct individual. He doesn't react to things, he acknowledges things. He has a very clear-cut personality that is still variable and still relatable. He's not exactly Superman, he's not invulnerable, he's not always right, but he's also not a complete blank slate that needs to learn everything. There's something about Optimus that's wise, that's respectable, that's powerful, but there's also the gentle side to him that makes him so engaging. I think it says a lot that all these years later, we all still love G1 Optimus. We all still love a good Optimus in any fiction. It's because an Optimus done right is one of the most special things in all of fiction. A giant 30-foot tall robot with the voice of a soldier who still has a gentle heart and would stop to look at the deer and whatever animal comes across him in the forest. I like Optimus. I adore Optimus. And I think him getting these many votes, yeah, that feels about right. Well, that settles it. I'm gonna be the Optimus Prime guy. I mean, he is the approved answer, right? Optimus Prime's the best Transformers character. Who's going to fight me on that? I'm going to be the most unique, and by unique, I mean the least unique, but most agreeable Transformers reviewer on all of YouTube. I gotta start cracking on my Optimus Prime shelf.
Oh, what's this? Sorry, Alita. You're not my favorite anymore. God, get out, guys. I gotta get Optimus. Double Dealer, Menasor, unique play experiences with characters I like? Get the hell out of here. I gotta get Optimus. I mean, you guys are all okay, but I mean, none of you are an Optimus. I guess you're all gonna be going to Goodwill tomorrow. And then... I mean, that one. I mean, that's just classics Optimus Prime. You know, just the best Optimus Prime ever. I got this guy when I was a kid. That was Christmas '08. And then my mom got me this. This was a secondhand gift. She got it from, I don't know, I guess maybe some neighbor kid threw it out. Man, he survived my childhood. Not a lot of my toys did, but this one made it through everything. I mean, if I'm gonna be the Optimus Prime guy, this gotta be my Optimus Prime, right? Good classics Optimus. He wasn't the main character, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this guy, I did, and I still do. He's still possibly my favorite Optimus ever. He's still so good, but this wasn't the character that I played with all the time. This wasn't the character that meant the most. That was '07 Cliff Jumper, the toy from Nerds. I mean, seriously, look at these two. What self-respecting Transformers fan would ever put this over this? I mean, just a beautiful figure. Completely perfect sculpting, great proportions in this guy. I mean, janky, near-broken automorph, completely outdone by countless movie Bumblebees. I mean, this is just old school, outdone, overplayed, and completely worthless by today's standards. He's still my favorite. I mean, I still remember a lot of the adventures me and Cliff Jumper went on. I mean, at this point, right? This is the only Megatron I could get. This was the Universe Megatron, and I thought, well, he's small, but he's able to use mind powers, so he could, like, brainwash people. But Cliff Jumper couldn't have his brain washed because he has, like, this helmet on, right? So he was immune to it. I stole that from Magneto. I stole that from X-Men. You better believe I wasn't that smart a kid. And I mean, this is Bombshell. Oh, I don't know if I should like Bombshell. He was not even on the poll, but this was my dad's Bombshell. This is the only toy I ever got from my dad that's like his toy, and I got this the last birthday I had with him. But I mean, he didn't make it on the poll. In fact, a lot of these guys never made it on the poll. I mean, just look at this absolute collection of goobers. Most of these characters didn't even get 10 votes on the poll. That's the wrong Hound. I mean, it's G1 Hound. Cyclonus only got 2 votes. Skywarp only got like 9 votes. You know, I used the computer lab at school to find out that Sonar was a woman. And that meant a lot to me, because that was the first Transformer toy I had who was a woman, and growing up in a house full of women, I thought that was cool. And then that's my mom's GoBot, kind of like how that's my dad's Insecticon. That's my mom's GoBot. That's Spacey. Oil Slick, I mean, I got him on Easter. And here's the thing, right? A lot of my Transformer toys, I lost them, and they got broken up, busted, especially after we lost the house. But Oil Slick, I mean, he lost his legs, he lost his arms, I just had his torso left. But I got another Oil Slick, and I built him up. This torso is still the Oil Slick I grew up with. Man. And of course, I just left Cliff Jumper. The Woody to my Andy. My favorite toy. Not my childhood Cliff Jumper, I lost him, but close. As close as I can get. You know what? Maybe I've been looking at this the wrong way. There are thousands of Transformers characters. There's millions of Transformers toys. Any one of them can be your favorite. There's not a wrong answer when I ask you who your favorite character is, who your favorite toy is, what your favorite show was. There's not a wrong answer. And anyone out there who would tell you that there's a wrong answer, they're the ones that are going way too far with this. Yeah, this toy's not perfect. That's my favorite Transformer toy of all time, though. He is perfect to me. He's perfect for me. He's everything I could ever want in Cliff Jumper and more. But that's okay if that's not what your Cliff Jumper is. Here, maybe your Cliff Jumper is this guy, and that's good too. Or maybe your Cliff Jumper is a completely different Cliff Jumper. Maybe it's... Give me one sec, this was not planned. Maybe it's this Cliff Jumper. And that's good too. Or maybe you don't care about Cliff Jumper. And that's good too. What this poll was, it's just a celebration, man. Everyone got to give a little bit of love to a character they liked. And whether your character got 1 vote, or 20 votes, or 2,000 votes, it doesn't matter. Your character is your favorite. And that's all that we can ever hope, is that we get to have a favorite like that. We get to have a favorite character, we get to have a favorite toy, and we get to find people to talk about those things with. Because that's what's special. And that's what I'm thankful for right now. Me and this Cliff Jumper, this is the perfect one for me. Now, I want to thank you guys for watching this poll. I want to thank you guys for being a part of all this. I'm playing right now, this is the Thanksgiving video, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you guys, I'm thankful for the interactions, I'm thankful for just living, man. It's hard to live sometimes. It is very hard to live sometimes. It can be draining. Life can be very draining. It can be hard to find the good in things a lot of the time. And, admittedly, it's been hard to find the good right now. At least for me. But you guys change that. You guys give me something to comment to, you guys give me something to talk to, you guys give me a reason to wake up sometimes. And I'm thankful for you. Even if you're not from the United States, even if Thanksgiving's not your bag, I am thankful for you because you have given me attention, you have given me support, you've given me so much more than I could ever ask. And maybe that's all that matters. For as long as I'm Ron Bonda John, we're going to keep making videos, we're going to keep having a good time, we're going to keep talking about weirdos like this and big guys like that and maybe even some of those things eventually. But until that happens, I want you to know something. I don't care what other people say you are. I don't care what other places treat you like. When you're here, we're all safe together. Because we're all just loving those big dumb robots, aren't we? And until next time, guys, I guess we're just going to have to see what happens.